And now we're going to make a stud on these panels. Well, you can see that I've already made a stud on this one. This is the bottom panel. It's not finished, but just to give you some idea of where we're going, that's fitting in there when we reduce this a little bit more. I was going to use the spindle moulder today to make these mouldings, but the cutter has got so blunt that I'm going to abandon that idea and I'm going to do it on the table saw, which makes a perfectly acceptable job. It's just another method, that's all. But I'll explain to you what we're doing when we would. First we've got to glue two more pieces together for the panels, and then we'll cut some diagonal pieces and cut the edges for them. This is the stock we're going to use for this. The panel needs to be 49 centimeters. That is just under 30, so we want 19.2. 19.2. Should be a nice square end, but we will just check it. Okay, we're marking these pencil lines here, ready for the biscuit jointer. Do it like that. Don't do them too deep or there'll be a job to sand off afterwards, but just so that you can see them nicely. Move this out of our way. This little contraption is quite a useful thing to have. I've already set depth. As you can see, you can adjust it that way and at angles, but that's just square. All we have to do is line them up on there. Just to show you the blade in this machine, it's quite a simple little device, really good idea really. The blade just comes like that. You can set it whatever size biscuits you want to use. All sorts of adjustments. You can spend a lot of money on these, but this is just a cheap version. My dear wife bought me one Christmas years ago and it's worked a long time perfectly. I bought a whole sack full of biscuits. I don't know quite why they call them biscuits, but they don't taste too good. But they're just these little hardwood, I think they're made of beech. Probably compounded glued or something. They're really, really strong old things. And I've got sackfuls of them. I should never use them in my lifetime, I can't imagine. So, right, now we need to clean these joints out on this one. We'll glue this one the same as we did with the other one. Keep it, the pencil marks up so we don't get it wrong. Very easy to do that. And then you find it doesn't fit, because if you keep everything up the same way, it doesn't matter if they're a little bit not dead center, because it will. It'll be all right on the knife. And we tidied it up with a sander. You hardly see the joint. It would look lovely. Now we need to concentrate on the panels for the middle. There's no need to glue them because I've made these long enough so that the space in the middle just takes a diagonal piece at the width of the wood I've got, which is over there. Okay. Now I'm going to cut these pieces, the angles on them, because these are our middle panels that will sit diagonally in the doors. First I need to move the fence from the saw to the other side of it, and then we need to get some angle on the blade, and I've marked underneath where I need to come to, because that's how I normally cut them, to there. Lock it up. The blade is the right height, I think. I'll just check it against this one that I did yesterday before. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. That looks pretty good. So we need to move the fence in. I think that looks. Go down just a tad and a little bit closer. It might be too close. Yeah. Just take your time with doing these adjustments. It's quite important to get it right. Otherwise you find yourself with a lot of firewood. A little bit more. Yeah, I think that's pretty nice. Right. Now we're going to reset our saw so we can take a snitch off the back and a little bit off the front, just so that it fits nicely into the grooves, these grooves here. So we'll put the fence back on the other side because I prefer to work from that side because I'm right-handed. Need to move the top fence so that we can hold it nice and square to the blade. It's a bit of a faff, but it's worth doing it properly. Otherwise, when our indoors comes to see it and she said, "Oh no, that's like that," you're going to throw it all away. It's really annoying. So they tighten up. And I guess we're going to have to come and see it from the other side in a minute, because now we're going to straighten the blade up to 90 degrees. I use this piece of ply just to go over the blade, just cut it onto it, and then put the fence on to clamp it down. I find it works pretty well because it gives you much less space. When you're cutting thin wood, it can disappear into there and it flies about everywhere, and I do actually have a few scars up my arms from doing such stupid things, so don't you do that. I'm just going to run around the edges with it that way around, just to tidy up those pieces where it's cut into the wood a little piece. You've got to remember it's about 14 mil. The blade's 3, so I need to set the fence for 11, is that? According to my mathematics. I guess that's about right. Give it 11. And don't forget to lower the blade or you'll cut a piece of wood right off. Which isn't sort of too helpful. We'll test that on a little piece of gash. A little bit of a sandpaper up, just a bit willing. Tidy them through that. Like that. And then we'll have a little dummy run to see how it fits together. I'm not going to glue it for the moment because I need a bit more sandpapering and tidying things up. Got to remember to keep it up the right way. I nearly spoke you in French. Such a habit. Ooh la la. Mallet. We mustn't be hitting anything with hammers or anything because you spoil it. You do all this, and then when you come to glue it, take it apart and glue it, it's always different. I don't know why that is. Love. Squirt that up nicely. The top one goes on there. And I'm sure you can see where we're going with that now. It looks like a pretty nice door. Obviously that one goes on the outside of there, and that will go all the way along. struggle with that for a minute because it's clamped down. And then when we're all finished and we're glued that together, we can sand the ends, cut these ends off, and I'll show you the finished product in a little while.